Yeah, loneliness really is a killer. Shout out to Seal. Today's episode is Loving Oneself. You are listening to Devil Tongue and Phantom Other on Spreaker.com. www.spreaker.com. Thanks for the love, the support. Please continue to follow us on Spreaker. Follow us on Instagram, Skype, SoundCloud, devil.tongue@gmail.com. Of course, follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm saying this in general. Shout out to Leslie Jones, too. We're going to read to you a tweet from Leslie Jones, and I want all of you to really listen, unless she happens to be on your feed as well. Listen to what she had to say. Take it away, Phantom.
Okay, back to cardio. But confession, I feel like I'm doing this for nothing. I know it's not. I'm healthy and look good, but I really feel like what it's all for. If the people you want to notice don't, I feel like, well, let me read that over. I feel like I might die alone. Sorry, that's pretty heavy today.
When it comes to self-love, self-esteem, insecurity, and I'm going to also say shout out to Issa Rae. Issa, you need to get that double tongue, for the writing aspect. But staying on topic, you have to love yourself. You have to learn in many ways, how to be your own best friend. Only Children, as a good example, shout out to Kimara Knight and a few other only children I know. They learn this when they're growing up because they have no siblings. And while mom and dad, can be in the picture, remember, parent to child relationship, their friends, and I'm talking about only children, tend to be the teddy bear, the pet dog. They may have that one best friend outside, in kindergarten or what have you. But it's different when you have siblings versus you're an only kid and you have to create your world. In a sense, your world is sort of shaped and formed when you do have others you're growing up in the household with. A lot of us who have siblings may have, crazy stories of, well, let's just say growing up. But when you are an only kid, it is so vastly different in terms of how you relate even to your own self. Now, as far as what Miss Jones tweeted, and as far as self-love, understand that psychologically speaking, it is deep. And it is very challenging for you to, shall we say, find that love that's going to sustain you. And again, I'm going to refer to Maslow's hierarchy on this in terms of what is going to keep you and make you feel whole. We all need someone to love.
True. My opinion and take on it is basically, it's a lot. It's a lot and it's heavy. And it is. And to me, it's just, it's a lot of it is internal. The external part is that you're Leslie Jones. You're a comedian. You're great. I think you have a fabulous personality. I don't know you personally, but you seem to be like a cool person. But then internally, we don't know you because that's your private side. We don't know what's going on with you. Obviously, we see that you're working out and that's something personal. We see that you're hurting. That's something personal. But for you to be that hard on yourself, that means that you had a little bit of a downside in your life right now. Meaning that, sometimes even though we could be with our self-esteem at the highest, sometimes it does fall and it drops a little bit where we do feel our lowest. And so with you, I feel that you should stick in there, keep working out, do what you do. I know you going to the Olympics. Stay focused and stay positive. That's what you got to do right now. I still think you're a great person. I mean, just because you wrote what you wrote doesn't make you any less of a person or any worse of a person, because you're not by yourself. There are a lot of people out there who feel like they're going to die alone. And guess what? You're not going to die alone, because I don't want to sound facetious as I say this, but somebody has to find your body. And somebody has to notify your next of kin that you're dead. And then guess what? Somebody's just not going to throw your body in an incinerator and forget about it. People are going to recognize and realize that, you know what, you've passed on. And they will come to your funeral. And they will recognize you as, you know, I mean, you'll be dead, but they'll recognize you. So don't think you'll be alone. And I mean, I know it sounds kind of morbid the way I'm saying it like that. But you know what? My worst fear was not dying alone, but nobody putting me to rest. You know, because I think that's more worse, where your body's there and you're in a pauper's grave, where you know you have family, where somebody's actually giving you a respectful burial. So don't feel so hard on yourself or down on yourself. You've accomplished a lot. I know you live to see 50. You have a successful career. I mean, you got a lot going for you. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody does slip and fall, and everybody does have that dark cloud or dark place they fall into. You need to regroup, reset, and come right back out, because you got it, girl.
The question is, and this is a general question for our listeners out there, do you feel alone even when you're with someone because you're just not being...
Connecting. It's connecting. And you know what? That is true. That is so true. You could be with somebody and be alone, because just because you're with them physically doesn't mean you're there mentally. Because there's and I'm gonna give you a perfect example. I have a friend of mine who I haven't seen in years, and that's due to distance, but we're still very close. He can tell by the way of my voice that I'm having a bad day and I'm not being me. That's something where it's not mental, and I don't want to say it's telepathic, but there's a connection here that you have with somebody. And he's not my boyfriend. We know we never had a past together as in like a relationship. We've always been friends. But here it is, you can feel your friend being in distress and you're miles away. You get what I'm saying? There's a connection there. There's something there that's saying, you know what, my friend is feeling sad or depressed today. There's a connection there. So it doesn't, you know, you could be with somebody and you could see them every day. But if you don't have that connection with someone, and it's basically you playing off each other, meaning that I know your likes and dislikes. I know it's not that you can think for the person, but you kind of have the hypotheticals already into place where you know how this is going to go if I do this or that with a certain person. You kind of like do that. But I understand where you're coming from that perspective. When people say that, like, because there are a lot of people who are in marriages like that.
Oh, a loveless marriage?
Yep.
That'll be another episode for another day.
Right, but that's what it is. You're with somebody, but you're not connecting. You know what I'm saying? What you just said. Like, you're with somebody, but you're not connecting with them. So now you're living with a roommate. So now it's either, you know, and what happened is that you've invested so much into this person, you don't want to get divorced, because then it goes into it's cheaper to keep her. You know what I'm saying? Or you have some people who just take the plunge and be like, yo, whatever, and then it happens. So
that's a somewhat different dynamic, because when it comes to loving yourself, you have to do... All right, let's talk about self-destructive behavior, which includes drug abuse, alcoholism. I don't want to hear about how it's a disease. There are choices you make based on your emotion, you know, and unfortunately, although manic depression is somewhat really far off the cuff in terms of the point I'm trying to make. Mm-hmm. When you engage in this self-destructive behavior, no matter what it is, that's not you loving yourself. Now, as devil tongue, I can't tell you what it is that you need to do in order to get that self-gratification going on. And I am talking more in the emotional, psychological, spiritual sense of your being. you have to figure it out for yourself. But there's a lot of positive things you could do, including, well, I'll just say venting, because it makes you feel better and good. We all get mad. We all get enraged over something. And even if you need to vent in the moment, it still needs to be done in a rational form of expression so that it doesn't cause you or anyone else undue harm. All right, I'll give you an example. The other day, I'll say due to incompetence, I was very angry, and I had expressed myself to the security officers because where I needed to go, like most buildings, it's security, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But I did say, I mean no disrespect, and I understand you guys have a job to do, but I'm mad because they fucked up. Referring to, the place where I was going. And, of course, in turn, even though we don't use government names for ourselves, sometimes you have to keep certain other entities confidential. But I vented in that moment, and it was received well. Now, if it was received poorly, they probably would have tried to escorted me off the premises, call the police, etc., etc. It was received well. So in terms of mental stability and mental health, you also have to have a grasp on your own situation so that it doesn't escalate and get out of control to a point where you're going to get in trouble and have undue harm caused that doesn't need to be caused.
Well, the first thing you said, which was true, for you to love others, you have to love yourself first. And for you to love yourself, you have to accept yourself. You have to understand that you're not perfect. You have to understand that there's certain flaws that you have that you either can improve or accept. And that is it. Because what happens is that when you end up being a false person, you end up being a false everything. A wife, a friend, everything. So basically, if you're not loving yourself, how can you love others? Because it's supposed to radiate off you. Because you have some people out there who don't love. You have some people out there who hate, who are conniving, who are revengeful. And then all they get back is nothing. And then they're the ones like, oh, well, nobody loves me, whatever. And then you have some people who do love out there and they get hurt too. But then those are the ones sometimes that always gets the best. Because even though they might not get love from one person, they get love from their support. So sometimes if you put out, sometimes you do get back. But sometimes you have to be a stronger person. And you have to realize that everybody does have limits. Everybody could be pushed to a certain point. But then also, you have to realize that you're not perfect. You have flaws. You either accept them or you change them.
Now, God bless our mothers. My mother has always said this, and to this day will say, the only thing, this is her talking to her children, the only thing I want or expect from you is love, respect, and friendship. And I try to practice that in my personal life.
Oh, your mom said that? That's very nice of her.
But you know what? It's real.
But it's nice of her.
Because when a parent, as far as parent to child, is a selfless parent, then pretty much that's all they expect and that's all that they need pretty much. You can try to utilize that in your own personal life with your significant other. Hopefully it'll work, because the thing is, if you two are evenly yoked, if you're matched, then there's no reason why the friendship, notice I say friendship versus relationship, shouldn't be strong and work. I read an article the other day where Patti LaBelle, she's 73, and for those of you who may not have been aware, Patti was married. Now, she said her 32 years of marriage to her husband, they never had a fight. And I believe that.
Is he dead?
No. Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee, same thing. They said they had disagreements. They never actually had a fight. Because Patti said when she was growing up, she saw her parents fight all the time. But she said that her and her husband grew apart.
Okay.
They're still friends.
Okay.
But it's just
I was like wondering. I was like, did he die? Because I thought he did. Okay.
No.
They just grew apart. That's why she divorced. Okay.
Right. But, it was very amicable and they still remain friendly. Just that it's like, I'm not good for you any longer, if that makes sense.
Right. But you know what happens? People grow. And sometimes people stop growing. And people don't, and I think that's what happens. People don't get it. that people evolve, and sometimes those who keep evolving, some people can't accept that. Some people just can't accept that. You know, because it's like saying, me and you married in our 20s, right? We were going to college. We were college sweethearts. We knew each other from high school. And then we both went to college. But I decided to go get my master's. And then I decided to go get, you know, other stuff behind my degree. And then I didn't want that simple job. I went up and I went up the ladder and I wanted more. But then you stayed where you was at. So now you either accept where I'm going or you start getting animosity. Because now we should be moving together. Even though we're together and having a household, we're probably bringing in maybe the same amount of money, but I'm bringing mine in quicker and faster because I have the degrees and all of the licenses and stuff, as in you had to work hard and you're getting your raises. As in you had the same opportunities, not what I was doing, but you had the opportunities for you to move up. You could have taken tests. You could have moved up. You could have taken, you know, managerial positions. That's if you wanted to. But that was up to you.
Of course.
But see, what happened is that sooner or later, there's a little bit of animosity there because it's like, you don't think she's better than you, but then you thinking like, wait a minute, she left you. She never left you. You were always together. But what happened is in your brain, you're looking at it as being left behind, and she didn't. And what happened is that when you start having that thought and that mentality of now it's not team anymore, it's I now, that's when it all starts going, you know, haywire.
It's all about growth, and the thing is,
excuse me,
you have to grow, you know.
You have to,
or you just won't.
It's more like crash and burn.
Exactly. Thank you so much again for listening to us in this episode, and you know,
thank you guys
to just love yourself. Do for yourself what I'm gonna say others probably won't do for you. Do for yourself what you need to do, and you will feel better mentally, emotionally, psychologically in terms of that self-love, so that you can go and be a better person.
You need to look at yourself as your own investment. If you put money into investment so that you will get money off of it, that's the way you should look at yourself. I invest into myself to get a good profit off of myself.
Always. Thank you for listening to Devil Tongue.
Phantom Mother.
And we'll be back again.
I see ya. What do you want your next topic to be?